Hey guys, this is Paul from Breaking Chains. Hey, I've been asked a question numerous times, and that question is, do drugs kill brain cells? And the answer to that question, it depends on the drug. Most drugs do. And let me explain how it works. The brain actually has has what's called a brain barrier, and that brain barrier is meant to protect the brain. It protects it from the toxins that are the natural toxins that are in our blood. It keeps those toxins away from the brain. But the toxins in drugs manage to make it through that barrier. And so what happens is it makes it through that barrier and tricks the brain, as I talk about in one of my other videos. It tricks the brain into releasing dopamine, releasing the chemicals that bounce off the receptors and cause the high. Drugs don't cause us to get high. A lot of people think marijuana, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines, bath salts, all that stuff. They think that's actually what gets us high, and it's not. What gets us high is the release of the dopamine. So the toxins in drugs make it through that brain barrier, tickles the brain, causes it to release the dopamine. And so the answer to your question is, what happens is those toxins actually will damage the neuroreceptors in the brain. And so if you watch one of my other videos, you'll see when I talk about dopamine, you'll see that there's a cell A and a cell B. Cell A being the transmitter, that's how the brain communicates. Cell A being the transmitter, cell B being the receiver or the receptor. So what happens is when we do drugs, those receptors get damaged. And the problem is, those receptors are not like the cells in our body that if one gets damaged, it splits off into another cell and fixes itself. Those neuroreceptors don't do that. Those cells don't do that. They don't actually split and fix themselves by creating a new cell. So once those receptors are damaged, they're permanently damaged. And what happens is you end up having learning disabilities, memory loss, long-term memory loss, short-term memory loss, etc. So yes, it can cause problems with the brain if you lose too many of those neuroreceptors. You're going to be in big trouble. And so drugs like methamphetamines and crack cocaine can cause major damage to those neuroreceptors, as well as heroin. Heroin just sits on the receptor, actually. Um, and so the heroin is actually can damage those as well, too. So I hope this answered your question on whether or not drugs actually kill brain cells. And the answer ultimately is it depends on the drug, but the answer is yes, they do. Um, they actually damage the neuroreceptor cells that do not split themselves in half and refix themselves. So I hope this answers your question. Hey, if you guys have any more questions you'd like me to make you a video on a certain drug or addiction and recovery or anything like that, you can reach me on Breaking Chains, Chronicles of a Meth Addict on Facebook. You can also pick up my books, which have a lot of information on it, off AmazonBooks.com. That's Breaking Chains, Hope for Addicts and Their Families. My second book is called Chronicles of a Meth Addict, also available on Amazon Books. And my third book, which will be coming out next month, is called Meth Pandemic. That book is going to be off the chain real good. It's going to be a top seller like my first one, Breaking Chains, Hope for Addicts and Their Families. It's been sold all over the world and help restore addicts, their families, their loved ones. It's helped restore families all over the world. I'm really excited about the information in that book and how it's turning out. So I hope to hear from you guys on Breaking Chains, Chronicles of a Meth Addict on Facebook. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, remember to always pray for the addict who still suffers, because we know what it's like.